I know what you're thinking, who starts a day in the life at nighttime? But I'm gonna try and just do like sort of a 24 hours thing starting now, because the next 24 hours, including this little nighttime activity, are sort of unique and interesting, and it just seems like it would make more sense. I am almost never at the studio at night. I don't like making stuff at night. I don't like being alone in this space at night. So I almost never come here at nighttime. But today I couldn't get over here during the day, and I have a fair order that has to go out tomorrow, and my kids don't have daycare in the morning. So I'm not going to be able to do that unless I do it right now before I go home and go to bed. Tonight we're making 4 different kinds of reed diffusers. This is going to be my first time sending out my new reed diffuser tubes, which were also something I got custom made from Paper Tube Company. I didn't talk about them as much because I haven't officially launched them. I haven't taken product photos or anything, but I have someone who ordered reed diffusers, and I don't have any labels for the old kind of tubes. So they are getting the new tubes, and hopefully it's not an issue. So I'm gonna be making 4 different batches and hoping for the best. I'm hoping this goes really quickly. Luckily, I had already the labels for the bottles printed out, and now I got the top stickers for the reed diffuser tubes with like the scent name on them, pre-printed from Vistaprint. The quality is fine. They're pretty affordable, so you get what you pay for, but this is like my first time doing any of this, so I'm very curious to see how it goes. The first thing I'm gonna do is put the items into Inventora so that I can make sure I'm doing the right ingredient amounts. Usually I do this ahead of time. I try to have my process be that as soon as the order comes in through Fair, I put it into Inventora if I don't already have the products ready. Eventually, something I need to work on is just like making enough products in bulk so that I have things on the shelf ready to go. That's some advice that I got from the SBDC that I'm trying to work on. The reason I struggle with that is because I'm really afraid that I'm going to waste products because I'm going to make a bunch of something, and then for whatever reason stuff won't sell and I'll have wasted those materials. But I think at this point, like, I just have to get past that because it is holding me back to not have things ready to go as soon as an order comes through. Okay, so while I'm doing this, while I'm mixing those different batches, I thought it might be a good time to talk about the concept of freedom in owning your own business, because I think that's a huge motivator for why a lot of people start their own businesses. There is a lot of freedom in owning your own business, for sure. Like, the reason I'm here right now is because I wasn't required to do this during business hours. I have been home with my kids during business hours all day today, which I would absolutely consider freedom, but also there's no one else at this job that can cover for me and make this batch for me, even though there's nothing special about these products. I mean, there's plenty that's special about the products, but there's nothing that someone else couldn't do once I teach them the recipe. And so there is a little bit of a sense of like, what am I doing here while the sun is setting on a summer night by myself? There is like a sadness to being here alone a little bit. I'm not someone who enjoys that. I'm not a night owl. I have never been a night owl. Even when I was like in my 20s, I was still tired by 10 p.m. I think it's really easy for me to like get in my head and get down on myself, especially when I'm here alone and feel like this is just a prison that I've created for myself. Didn't want to work a regular job, so now instead I'm coming here late at night to do this. And I do think, like, depending on the circumstances, there is some truth to that. I think there are jobs or like small businesses that people create that can be a little bit more of a prison than a gift. But I also know that that's not actually true for me. It might be that today is not going the way that I want to. And honestly, when you're early on in your business, I feel like there are years that don't feel free. You know, there's so much struggle when you're trying to get things started. There doesn't have to be, but I think it's common that there is. So a lot of this can feel like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What is this for? I don't have a crystal ball. Who knows if any of this will work out? There's a lot of faith required and hoping that you made the right choice. Pause while I pour these because I have to focus. And so because it's easy to feel trapped in this kind of scenario, I do try and keep just like a mental catalog of things that I get to do that are markers of freedom because I own this business. I think I spilled, so I'm gonna clean this up. I think probably most business owners could come up with that list, because even if you are still working a regular job or a primary job while you start your business, even within the business, there's a lot of freedom because you get to decide what you're doing day to day. So even that freedom and like creative control over what you're doing is something that most people don't get at their regular job. I try and remind myself that this month, when there's hardly any like summer camps available, I can be home with my kids and it is not a stressor for our family, which is a huge amount of freedom that sometimes requires me to come here at night. No matter how many like internet personalities there are or influencers there are who tell you that they work like 3 hours a week and they're making 6 figures a month, that's extremely unrealistic for most people. And so freedom has to be defined in a much more nuanced way, in my opinion. And I'm okay with that for right now. It's also a reminder for me of what I ultimately want. Like, this is something I don't want to do in 5 years. In 5 years, if I'm doing this, it's going to be a metric for me that I have done something wrong and I need to either make a change or stop doing this. But sometimes, as much as it sucks to be doing something you don't like, it is really helpful to add it to either a physical list, a digital list, or a mental list of things that you want to find a solution for in the near future. So that's how I'm trying to approach it. My playlist that I talked about in one of my last videos is also something that I do. Is just like, I'm powering through. This is for the plot. This is the part of the story where I'm like building my grit and using my inner strength to overcome the difficulties of this time in my life. And so a little bit of like dissociation helps me too. Right now, as we're in the studio, I am so excited because one of my errands today, while my kids are at art camp, is picking up the new packages for my incense that I am making. This is the sample of the envelopes. Let me get a pair of scissors, hold on. I chose to start doing incense because a friend of mine uses it regularly and really loves it. I wasn't someone who used it, so she let me borrow some of her favorite scents and I burned them and really loved the experience. And I was like, oh, this is such a nice, it's flameless, which I know a lot of people are concerned about. It also really leaves an impact with scent. You know, you burn it for maybe anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the stick. And the scent lingers for a really long time, which is always great, good bang for your buck. And then the other thing that's nice about it, as the person who's producing and shipping all of these things, is that incense is very lightweight and not breakable, which are things that I struggle with my other products. My reed diffusers are super popular with stores, but occasionally they leak. I've been struggling with that bottle leaking basically since I started making reed diffusers. You know, ceramic candles are breakable, the glass bottles of the reed diffusers are breakable. Anything that is lightweight and doesn't break easily is now my new favorite type of product. And these, I think I got 50 of each. Oh my God, I'm so excited about these. So I wanted envelope sort of sleeves because they're really easy. They're pre-assembled, and then this like top just tucks back into here. So I don't even really have to do a lot to secure them, which is also nice. It's just like that in the store. I'm really excited about this design. I have 2 scents that I'm starting with. I tested 4 scents, and when I was burning them myself, I actually didn't like how the Amore incense smelled when it burned, which is why it's so important to test all of your stuff. So I removed the Amore from the option. The ones I'm going with are my Palo Santo. The Palo Santo smells so good in incense form, which makes sense. It's kind of the same vibe. So I'm really excited about that. And then my Lunara, which is sandalwood vanilla. It's like a little bit sweeter, feels really expensive when it burns. And these 2, I loved both of these ones. So I'm starting with just 2 to keep it sort of easy. This printer is a local printer and they let me do smaller runs. So I only had to get 50 of each of these. I maybe could have gotten fewer, but I asked for 50 because that feels like a reasonable starting point. And so I have both of these, which I think will look really nice together. I'm not sure yet how to display them. They obviously, unless I have something that they can sort of stand up in, they'll probably have to lay down flat on a table. So I have to figure out a little bit how to suggest displaying them, but I'm really excited about what these look like and how easy they're gonna be to package up. So this is very exciting. And now I'm pretty much ready to launch these. So I have a small batch of both scents already made. So I have those sticks in storage waiting to be packed up. So my next steps are taking product photos. That's the main thing. I want to not only take the sort of like standard photos that you need for fair with like a white background, very simple. I also really feel like I've been slacking on the lifestyle photos of my products. And so next week I am staying in an Airbnb that I think would be the perfect setting for something like this. And so I'm gonna bring some of the product with me to hopefully do some lifestyle photos for social media and also for the website and fair, because those are important too, but you definitely need like the standard white background ones. There's always like small tweaks to be made. There's like this seam right here on the edge. And the part of me that's like a little bit perfectionist about this wishes the seam could be on the back side. Like the seam shows up on the front. I'd rather it was on the back. So I might have to talk to them about that. I don't know what the options are with that, but overall, this is really exciting. And these are another one where having these pre-produced is gonna make production a lot faster for me, because once the sticks are ready, it's just putting the right amount. I'm doing 20 sticks in an envelope, putting the sticks in here, closing it, and shipping it off. And these are gonna be such a lightweight product. I'm so excited. I have a lot of products that are within a small range of prices. I feel like almost all of my products are from $20 to $36, which is not a huge range. I think it'd be nice to have some smaller priced items and then also some luxury items. Maybe it's even just like gift sets that are more expensive. But this is probably, I'll have to do the calculations with how much each one of these costs. I paid the bulk invoice, but that also included a flat fee for a couple of different things. So I have to spread that out over the 100 envelopes total that I got. So have to figure out that pricing. That's next on the to-do list, but I would really, really love to launch the incense by September 1st. It's currently August 20th. So I don't have a ton of time, but these feel very much like a fall product. Not that you can only use them in the fall, but they're a really good product to launch with a fall line because lighting incense feels very cozy. These would be really exciting to include in that group. So these were another one where I took a really long time to design them, but I really wanted it to be perfect. I really wanted to consider it. I don't think you can see my other products right there, but I do try to line up the other product types that I have all together. And I don't necessarily want everything to be matchy-matchy, but I do want it to feel cohesive. If you're a Project Runway fan, I feel like they talk about this a lot with collections, that it's like these need to be speaking to the same person. They don't have to be identical, but they need to seem like they're talking to the same group of customers, whatever. All of these things I'm really excited about. It's more focusing on the tasks that need to happen for each project and making little steps each week. Today was another like typical summer day. I hate to wish summer away, but I really miss having a routine and I really miss having more time during the day to feel creative or feel like I'm making progress in my work. What happens right now with our summer schedule is I have like 2 or 3 hours to run around like a chicken with my head cut off, get as much as I can done that absolutely has to get done, and then everything else kind of falls to the wayside. I kind of wanted to give myself the feeling of being a little on vacation this summer. It's so hard to mix the importance of rest in with the goals that you know you have waiting for you or the finished product that you want to execute, and then just like sort of sitting there and letting it wait. I'm not very good at that. And the summer has been just kind of like a weird shift in trying to understand the best way for me to work when something like this happens, because I'm going to have summer with kids for the next 10 years at least. I don't want to be restarting every summer trying to figure out how to make it feel like the right mix of things. I might have to do like a personal debrief at the end of summer and like what worked and what didn't, so that I feel a little bit more prepared next year. Either way, this was big. This was a big moment for today. That's why I wanted to do the day in the life for today, because I wanted to share these with you guys and also just share some of the other stuff that feels like it's a part of my day-to-day during this time in my life and in my business.